In what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Throughout my magazine, I have used different forms of conventions from the other magazines. For instance, I have used some normal conventions, however, I have also developed some of the conventions and challenged even more. Front cover. On the front cover of my magazine, I have stereotypically used the brightly coloured fonts and headings, as this will make the audience know that it is a typical magazine that will tell you the information that you want to know, in contrast to other parts of the magazines which are different. On the front cover, I have put a natural background behind the artist, which is challenging the conventions of rap, because all of the rap magazines I have looked at have a plain background and so connote that the artist is superior to everybody else, as they get their own photo shoot, whereas with my magazine, having a natural background behind them, it gives the reader the sense that these artists are just ordinary people that have made something in their lives, and so it could give them the inspiration to do the same, instead of being the stereotypical rap lover who commits crime all the time. I have also made sure that the proportion of text is typical of magazines overall. For instance, I have made the typography of the title the biggest font on the page, and the following biggest font is the main cover story, Suzo, Rebirth After the Storm. I have developed the conventions of the cover stories because of the way they contrast each other in colour and in typography, as all cover stories are different. This is developing the convention because all of the magazines I have studied, both rap and pop, make their cover stories different in one way or another. For instance, the rap magazine changed the font and the pop magazine changed the colour, whereas I have decided to change every concept of it. This will make my magazine look different to all of the others, and therefore will grab the attention of the reader to read mine instead of everybody else's. I have completely gone against the concept of rap, as stereotypically rappers are associated as being black, and as I have a white rapper on the front of my magazine, it will hopefully get some people from different environments interested in different types of genres. The use of a white artist on the front of my magazine goes against the conventions of a rap magazine. However, it completely agrees with the conventions of a pop magazine, which makes it perfect for my audience. Contents. My contents develops the conventions of a rap magazine, as it has a background that is faded, so as to not look plain and boring, in contrast to that of the NME magazine, which I looked at in the research task, and was completely white in the background and just tried to fill up space with stories and a bit of colour. Whereas my magazine doesn't need to fill in all of the space and make it look crowded, because I have something in the background to make it look more full and yet less crowded, as there is less information crammed into the page, making it easier for the audience to navigate their way through the magazine. The contents of my magazine agrees with the pop side of my genre, as it doesn't have a lot of mise-en-scène within it, which makes it less definite to the rap genre, and will include those of the pop genre, and encourage them to read all aspects of this magazine, and not just those in the genre they are interested in. The contents of my magazine disagrees with all concepts of the stereotypical genre, as it only has 2 main cover lines and very few features in it. However, this is designed to make the audience read through the whole magazine and get the full value from it. The reason that it only has 2 cover lines in total is because there is one for each genre of the magazine. For instance, Suzo is the rap side of the magazine, whereas Shawnee P is the pop side of the magazine. Double page spread. I have made my double page spread agree with the conventions of the general magazine style, as it has a picture of the artist on it. It has the title of the story in the top left, and is again the biggest font on the whole page, and the fact that it has a quote somewhere on the page from the artist that has been interviewed, it is also conventional to that of any music magazine. My magazine specifically develops the use of a picture in a stereotypical magazine, as it covers the whole of the page and is being turned into a background, and in none of the magazines that I have researched, none of them have used this technique, and they have all just used a standard picture but totally separate to the picture, whereas with mine I have anchored the text to the image so that it looks more as one story rather than 2 separate stories stuck together by either a title or a quote. My double page spread completely goes against the conventions of a music magazine, as it has a bigger font size than all of the magazines I have researched. For instance, the magazines I have researched all have a conventional text font size of 11, whereas my font size is 12 and 13. The reason that I have chosen to use a bigger font than all of the other magazines is because then it links in with the fact that the main cover story is the most important in the whole magazine. The second biggest text on the front cover is the main cover story. The second biggest text on the contents is the main cover story, and so I thought it would make sense to have the font on the main cover story bigger than all of the other cover stories in the magazine.